If you could step through a time portal and walk into a human camp 30,000 years ago, right in the freezing depths of the Ice Age, something would immediately feel deeply unsettling. This eerie feeling wouldn't come from the predators prowling in the darkness just beyond the firelight. It would come from the people themselves. You would look around and ask yourself a haunting question. Where is everybody? More specifically, where are all the old people? Over half the camp would be children, chasing each other around the roaring fire, teenagers practicing their flint-knapping skills, and incredibly young parents cradling newborns. The camp would feel radically, almost shockingly young. This scene seems to perfectly match a scientific statistic you have probably heard 1,000 times. Ancient humans died before they reached 30. It is a brutal number. It makes us imagine a terrifying world where the moment a human being finally reached true adulthood, their body suddenly collapsed and surrendered to a harsh fate. However, through the lens of mathematical statistics and modern archaeology, this 30-year lifespan myth is both a technical fact and one of the most misleading distortions in human history. It completely warps our understanding of our ancestors' biological capabilities. To uncover the truth, we must strip away modern assumptions and face prehistoric reality. The truth is that our ancestors were not biologically programmed to self-destruct at age 30. Their bodies were just as resilient as ours are today, but they fought against an environment that offered zero margin for error. By re-examining the actual evidence left behind in the frozen soil, we discover a completely different story about the rhythm of ancient life. Imagine waking up just before dawn in the Stone Age. The air inside your rock shelter is biting cold, and your body aches from sleeping on the hard earth, covered only by raw animal skins. Immediately, your mind locks onto a single, unrelenting problem: staying alive for the next 14 hours. There are no grocery stores stocking surplus food, no clean running water, and no medicine cabinets. The survival of your entire clan depends entirely on what your group can hunt, forage, and carry on their backs today. In this unforgiving wilderness, even the smallest mistake triggers a catastrophic chain reaction. Consider a simple cut on your hand. Today, if you slice your finger while making dinner, it is a minor annoyance. You wash it and put on a bandage. But 30,000 years ago, a cut from a sharp stone tool could begin a literal countdown to death, because the concept of bacteria or antibiotics did not exist. The wound swells, with pus toxins enter the bloodstream, and a raging fever sets in. Your clanmates care for you deeply, but they are entirely powerless. They can wrap you in heavy furs to keep you warm, bring you fresh river water, and pray to spirits. Without antibiotics, minor infections were ruthless mass killers. Then there was the hunt. A failed expedition meant going to bed starving. 2 failed hunts in a row brought palpable anxiety to the camp. Even when a hunt succeeded, Ice Age megafauna like woolly mammoths or cave lions were not passive targets. They fought back with terrifying lethal force. When anthropologists analyze fossilized prehistoric skeletons, they find an absolute map of trauma: healed fractures, severe bone breaks, and deep skull impacts. This proves our ancestors engaged in brutal, close-quarters combat with nature. Humans were not comfortably at the top of the food chain. They were frequently the prey. Our modern instinctive phobias of darkness, venomous snakes and spiders, are not random. They are evolutionary memories encoded across thousands of generations of ancestors who learned those fears the hard way. Lowering your guard for even a single second meant becoming food for something watching from the shadows. Furthermore, women faced the ultimate biological gauntlet: childbirth. As human evolution favored larger brains, human skulls grew bigger, while the female pelvis narrowed for upright walking. This evolutionary trade-off turned childbirth into one of the most hazardous events a human being could experience, routinely claiming both mother and child. With danger bullseying them from every angle, the idea that ancient humans died by 30 sounds entirely plausible. It is easy to picture their lives as short and fleeting as a candle in a tempest. But this is exactly where the mathematical trap springs open, completely deceiving our perception of history. Let's look at a basic mathematical example. Imagine a cave where two infants are born. One tragically dies of an illness at just 1 year old. The second child survives, thrives, and grows to become a wise tribal elder who passes away at age 59. If you calculate the average lifespan of these two people, the answer is exactly 30. But in reality, absolutely no one in that cave died at the age of 30. One died as a toddler, and the other lived to see their hair turn snow white. The average life expectancy of 30 is an artificial illusion, dragged down to the floor by the staggering weight of infant mortality. Demographic studies of traditional hunter-gatherer societies reveal that 1/3 to 1/2 of all children died before reaching their 15th birthday. The true tragedy of prehistoric life was not that adults suddenly withered away at age 30, but that millions of children were robbed of the chance to grow up at all. Once an individual managed to survive the gauntlet of early childhood, everything shifted. Their immune system was battle-tested, and their survival instincts were sharp. For these survivors, living to 50, 60, or even 70 was a regular, normal occurrence. The heavily aged skeletons found in ancient burial sites proved this. The presence of these elderly survivors was not a luxury. It was humanity's ultimate evolutionary weapon. Imagine a catastrophic drought that happens only once every 50 years. The young, strong hunters would be utterly paralyzed with fear because they had never seen the great rivers completely dry up. In that moment of crisis, an elder steps forward. They remember the disaster of a half-century ago. They know exactly which mountain-hidden springs still flow and which toxic roots can be safely prepared for food. In a world with no books, no maps, and no internet, human memory was the only library available. To find concrete proof of this ancient resilience, we can look to the profound archaeological discoveries of Ice Age burial sites, where researchers uncovered the fossilized remains of an ancient hunter who lived tens of thousands of years ago. When scientists analyzed his bones, they were stunned by the horrific trauma he had survived. This specific individual had suffered a massive crushing blow to his face while he was young, leaving a deep, permanent scar across his brow. Additionally, his lower leg and hip bones showed evidence of a severe, catastrophic fracture that had healed poorly, leaving him permanently disabled and unable to walk normally. In a ruthless, unforgiving Ice Age world, a man with a severe, permanent limp and heavy facial trauma should have died within days. He could not hunt effectively, he could not gather, and he could not run from fast predators. Yet bone analysis proved he survived and lived to be an old man of nearly 50 years old. The extensive healing of his heavy bone fractures meant his clan did not abandon him when he became broken. For decades they carried him through freezing migrations, shared their hard-won meat with him, and kept him safe from predators. In return, this injured survivor undoubtedly repaid his family with his deep wisdom. This incredible discovery forces us to realize that prehistoric life was not entirely defined by cold, mechanical survival. There was an intense bond of empathy and cooperation keeping these fragile communities together. They understood that an individual's value was not measured solely by their physical strength, but by the depth of their mind. The story of this resilient hunter and the truth behind the misleading statistics completely rewrite how we define human progress. When we measure the advancement of our modern civilization, we naturally look upward at gleaming skyscrapers, roaring jet airliners, or robotic rovers exploring the surface of Mars. But in truth, the single greatest, most profoundly humane achievement of our species is much closer to Earth. We figured out how to keep our children alive. Clean drinking water, basic vaccines, sterile labor rooms, and simple antibiotics are not magical spells that extended our biological age limit. They are shields. We are not biologically hardwired to live longer than our ancient ancestors. We are simply incredibly lucky to live in an era that allows us to fulfill our natural lifespan. Every single human being alive today is the direct descendant of those incredibly resilient children who managed to survive the harsh winters of the Ice Age. The true lesson of our ancestors is that survival has always been a team sport, won not by the strongest lone warrior, but by the community that protects its most vulnerable. Our modern world is built entirely on the fragile foundations laid down by these ancient families who refused to let the darkness win. Looking back at that long, perilous journey makes you deeply appreciate the simple things, like a glass of clean water or a basic bottle of medicine. If you had to survive a single week in the Ice Age, what do you think would be your biggest challenge? And how do you think our society treats the wisdom of elders today compared to our ancestors? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.